while Misha can be anchoring in this bush, aggressive in this bush, defensive in this bush, or on the point capping.
Does tilt at its core?
5v4, what if I just flanked and hit a God Mosh?
So I go body check, I go indomitable, which is my unstoppable, I go into the fray, which is my save for allied heroes, I go...
Hello and welcome back. So things are going to be a little flip-flopped. Just bear with me a moment here to get things set up for you guys. But we are here with CascOn from Oxygen Esports. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself while I get this fixed up a little bit here, feel free.
Hello, I am CascOn, as was stated, from Oxygen Esports. I've been playing HOT since 2016-ish, I think. But I was on an open division team back in 2018, and now I'm the drafter and substitute player for Oxygen Esports and sub-coach last season. Hopefully, we perform better in Season 2 than Season 1. We get first place rather than fourth. That would be ideal.
Yeah, we're definitely excited to see you guys jump back into Season 2 for CCL. It's going to be a good time, as it always is here. All right, that's going to be as good as it gets, y'all. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and jump into the presentation here. If you have any questions, again, you can type right into the Twitch chat, and I'll pick them up as we go. And if anything's relevant, we will ask during the presentation. So I'll go ahead and let you take over, CascOn.
All right, thank you. So this presentation... I'm not like Legacy, I don't have fancy PowerPoint presentation here. I just have a bunch of tabs open. And the main thing we're going to be talking about is your win condition in HOT. So, back in 2018, compared to now, there was a very different understanding of what your win condition is. Back in 2018, there would be 2, maybe 3 fights a game. Now we fight over every objective, and I want to compare why that's the case and whether it should be the case. So... obviously, to win a game of HOTS, we have to go to the start. So you have to destroy the core. To destroy the core, you have to destroy a fort and keep in that lane. And once that is done, you can start hitting the core, obviously. But most people think, if I can win a fight, we can win the game. Well, that's true. That is very true. If you win the fight, you can win a game if a keeper's dead. But there are a lot of cases where you don't have to fight, and you can still win the game. So I'm going to start. I'm going to show you this game from Dig versus Roll20. Dig was playing with a substitute in the game, I believe, Monkey. He was known for being the best Samurai off-laner. Yeah. And actually, go into the statistics tab. Have you got the stream up on screen? You can see Dig has 3 kills, Roll20 has 2 kills. That is very rare in today for HOTS. Oh, are you there, Salvage?
Mm-hmm. Yep, I see.
Okay,
Everything's showing.
So your camera frozen for me. It's fine now.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah. So you can see 3 kills versus 2 kills, which for nowadays, the lowest kill count we had in CCL was 6 kills versus 2. And this is literally half that already. So why is this the case? And I'm actually going to... I'm going to go into this, but the main reason, if we look at the comps here, Roll20's comp, with the Mephisto and the Garrosh, they're looking to teamfight, right? They're just looking to kill the members of Dignitas. Garrosh throws someone in to run their traits and stuns them, and then they kill with Durance or with the other Mephisto ult. I think he won this game, actually. Yeah, he did. So that's what Roll20's comp is looking to accomplish. But Dig's comp, Dig does not want to fight Roll20. Dig wants to play for the shrines. So they want Johanna to comp the shrine minions together, using all of her abilities. And then for Hanzo to use his long-range Q to poke them. They have Junkrat to control the chokes on the shrine. And they have Deco to control the chokes as well. And they are just they are playing for the shrine, but they're not fighting the heroes, they're fighting the shrine, essentially. If that makes sense. That is one alternative win condition that is not based on team fighting. But the reason I love this game is because there's actually 2 demonstrated in this game. And there's basically one team fight in this game. Dig lose the team fight, but they win the game. I actually have a clip of the game that I'm going to open up now here. Is it displaying fine? On stream? I hope so. Okay. So you can see Dig are walking for the shrine. They have 20 versus 18, so they were just pushing their advantage. And I want to note the way they've won every fort this game. I'm not going to go back right now, but the way they won every fort this game was by pushing when they had an advantage, or by winning the shrine and then pushing with the Punisher. Not by fighting. They never won fight, which is why the kill count is so low. All of these kills are just picks from people being out of position. And so you can see Digger walking for the shrine, and Samurai is sending his clones to dismount roll 20, while Samurai is sending the other clone to roll 20's core. So this does freeze a bit for some reason on the broadcast. I don't know why. But you can see Samurai's here, and he's using his global. Can you see my cursor?
Mm-hmm.
Or...
Yeah, we can.
Yeah. Okay. So you can see the clone is on bot, and Samurai has just swapped to the clone. So what Dig's objective is now is to have Samurai solo end the game while they stall the backs of roll 20. And you can see Poik gets caught out of position, thrown in, and dies. So that was actually the second kill that roll 20 got all game. And now there should be no way that they lose the shrine with that kill. But you can see Zarmani has to back because Monkey is threatening to end the game. Because at this, like, Samurai can solo the core. He is a very strong hero at doing that. And you can actually see he's just there hitting on the core. And if roll 20 don't send another person back, Samurai can end. So you can see 68%. Look how quickly that's going down. That's already down to 50. And what Dig's doing, Monkey is still on the core. The entire 4-man of Dig, look how low they are. They can't win this fight, but they are running at roll 20 to stop roll 20 backing, so that Samurai can end the game. And you can see, like you can see on the map, Snitch is jumping into them on Junkrat, while Monkey is ending the game. And Dig did not win a single team fight this game, but they still won the game. I think that's very educational. Because to win without fighting is the best way to win, in my opinion. And you don't have to... If you're too obvious in draft, then it's very easy to get caught up with how do we win the team fight, thinking only how do we win the team fight, and not giving yourself tools to win without fighting. Because once you get ahead, in a lot of maps and a lot of comps, you don't have to team fight, you just have to push that advantage. I think this game, specifically, if we go back even, Dig don't actually... Wait, I want to show what they do on the shrine. How they play the shrines with Johanna and Hanzo. The concept I've gone over is basically the general gist of backdooring, where you send a global to go, which Samurai was very much a global at this point in the game. It doesn't even have to be a global, but usually it's a global. So you send a global to go kill the core. Find an early shrine here.
It's buffering just a little bit.
Okay, I think that's on my end because
Yeah.
I'm skipping around the video so much, trying to find the start of a shrine. There's a shrine in this game where Dig get 10 advantage instantly. Might have been this one. So this is the first shrine of the game. You can see what Dig are doing. JP was pulling all the minions together, and Poik is using his level 4 talent just to kill them. So they got 6 from that. And then Zay was stealing them as well. Dig are not fighting heroes, so keep in mind, Dig are just hitting the shrine. Samurai is not here. They are just getting ahead by hitting the shrine, not by killing the heroes. Roll20 is walking in and Dig are walking away. And you see JPL pulling them together for Spoik, who's still hitting the shrine. And they have a sizable lead from just doing this. Like, they haven't fought Roll20 at all. Roll20 is just running at them. Look where Garrosh is. Garrosh is so far forward. Same with Yrel. And Dig are just not fighting. They're just hitting the shrine. JPL stepping in to pull the minions together again. And we don't see this nowadays in CCL. I do have some CCL games to show off a bit later. Actually. Where similar concepts have happened. But they're just not fighting. They're clearing the shrine. They're winning without fighting. Which I think is brilliant. I think if you can win without fighting, that's the best way to play hot. What else did I write down about this game? So, let's actually go back to the end. Back to where the backdoor happens. Go over it a bit more. Just how brilliant Dig are at stopping the backstair. So even on this shrine, actually, this shrine, they're playing to the win condition of backdooring. And they're not fighting the hero. So I think someone on Dig dies here. So, they have an advantage. They're 17 versus 15. They could take an advantaged fight. But instead, they decide, we don't have to fight to win this game. We can kill the keep. So Samurai is killing the keep. JPL is still trying to steal the shrine minions. Riptide is used to try and steal the shrine minions as well. And what Dig are doing is they're poking safely, stealing the shrine minions, but they're winning a keep. Like, look at this. Dig just won a keep now. Like, meanwhile, when this whole thing's happening. And the brilliant thing is, if Roll20 sent someone back to deal with the Samurai, look how he moves his clone. This clone is walking to join Dig. So if someone backed from Roll20, Samurai could swap to this clone and be a global in the fight. And now Dig are fighting 5v4 with an even bigger advantage. And I think someone from Dig actually dies here. But they're pressuring the backdoor constantly. And it's something Roll20's comp can only teamfight with the Mephisto Garrosh Tyrande. All their comp does is teamfight, so Dig is just abusing that. They're saying, if you can teamfight, what if we never fight you? And I think that's demonstrated really well in this game.
Interesting. So I do have a question here from NRS asking if there's a replay available for this, since they don't have a shot of the damage stats.
So all of these replays I have are available. I'll post it in the... Let me open up the stream and I'll just post it in the stream myself.
Okay, perfect.
So
yeah, if you just want to... Yep, if you just want to pop in that link.
So, because there's Master Week for the first two games. And if you guys have any questions... Oh, I'm not allowed to post links. I will send it to you then. And if you're a mod...
I'm actually not a mod yet, so if you want to throw it in the
Discord... we post it in the CCS Discord then, yeah. I'll just post it in Dev Day questions. So that is the first game that I went over. And there's a replay on it on Master League. There will... For all of these games, there will be a replay. There's replays available. The first two games are both Master League, because they're HUC games. And the final two are CCL games, so you can find the replays in the CCL Discord. And if anyone does have any questions about this, feel free to ask them midway through. I'm down to stop and just talk about that instead. I do know what I'm going over is very abstract in comparison to what Legacy was going over, but I think this is very important as well.
Oh, absolutely. I think the heroes just player meta is to fight. We don't see a lot of that split pushing or trying to find value elsewhere whenever an enemy team is successful in team fights versus you being successful in macro. Oh, I apologize for that.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
it's very, very valuable, and I think this information is going to be extremely helpful for a lot of players coming into HOTS and trying to find new ways to win their games.
Mm-hmm. So that's actually basically all I wanted to talk about with this game. And you can see this is 3 versus 2 kills. That is the lowest kills, lower than any kills in CCL games. but it's not the lowest kill game that ever happened in HGC. This, there's no statistics page, so sorry about that. Because the replay of this game was not uploaded because it was a Gold Cup game. That is unfortunate. But this was a Gold Cup game in 2017, I think, which was Dignitas versus Beyond the Game. And this was the lowest kill game ever to happen in HGC. And I'll just go over the end of the game a bit to start with, and then I'll discuss the overall game and what Dig are doing. So, let's open this up. If it plays. There we go. So you can see right now, this is 2017, so this is the old Tassadar. He has his shields. This is pre-rework a lot of heroes here, actually. You can see, once again, it's with the strategy. They're threatening to end the game just with 2 heroes, or 1 hero. They do have a 3-level lead as well. So Dig, at any point right now, Dig could take a team fight. They're probably favored to win that team fight. But why would they take the team fight if they can win the game without doing that? And that's what they're doing right now. You can see, BTG send people back, and Dig just leave. They just walk away. Tyrael got on midpoint after they backed off, and Itzy is getting on top. He's not fighting them. He's leaving when they come to fight him. He's just leaving. And now Dig are going to look to get bottom siege camp out again, and then try to end the game with that. But they're not going to fight heroes to end the game at all. So this clip is much longer than before. You can see they get the siege camp. And the important thing is, no kills versus no kills. That's not because neither team was looking for kills this game. It's because neither team were, Dig wasn't fighting. And you can see here, actually. BTG is trying to back. Webby is just walking at them to stop them backing. So 2 are stuck up here. And Dig are just running at the core. Webby is globaling in. They're sanking. And they're just hitting the core. They're not fighting, they're just hitting the core. Why would they fight? Why fight when you can kill the core? That is the lowest kill count game we've ever had in HGC. And that is 0 kills versus 0 kills. Actually, technically it wasn't HGC. Because it was the Gold Club thing.
Yes, Cavalier did reference that after HGC World Finals, China hosted their own World Finals because their teams always had visa issues. So this is essentially a World Championship.
Yes. Yes, it is World Championship game. Higher level than what we have now. And that's expected, right? The level of play now is lower than it was in HGC. But that is 100% expected because it's not a full-time job. HGC was, players were scrimming, playing 14 hours a day, scrimming 6 to 9 hours a day. Now people are scrimming like 2 hours a day max. Which is expected that the level of play won't be the same. But I think there's still a lot of value to get from analyzing and comparing the games.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, we can go over the comps a bit here. You can see, beyond the game drafted double support. I don't think you should draft double support on Sky Temple. Because Sky Temple is a map where you never have to fight, and Dig actually showed that this game, with 0 kills versus 0 kills. And double support, what that's really good at is team fighting. And someone actually asked a question beforehand, like a week ago, in the Discord. And the question was, what can you learn about the enemy's game plan from their picks and bans at each stage of the draft, and what weaknesses can you exploit from them picking something early? If they pick double support early, like they did beyond the game, pick double support in the 2-3 here, or in the 3-4 here, which is still early, you can exploit that by not fighting. Because double support is debatably the best teamfight comp in the game. But if you never fight them, then they don't get the value. Especially on Sky Temple, where you can run around them for the entire game. And I'm actually going to show you how Dig got ahead. Dig got about a level ahead from the first objective. I believe, or half a level up. And then Beyond the Game did manage to catch up in EXP by some clean rotations. But this game is very much just about rotating very cleanly. And you can see Dig, the laning setup they're using is they're keeping 2 people bot. Just push that. 1 person mid, 1 person top. And when BTG go to respond to a push, Dig then send... so when BTG went bot here, to respond to the Tracer Tyrael push, Karazim can step on the point for free. And BTG with the Zarya, Lucio, and Greymane, they never want to be split, so they're always together. So to respond to a 2-man push, you have to send 3 people. Which means Dig can push that advantage elsewhere on the map. And Karazim got some shots for that. And now they're splitting. And see, look, no fights, but they do look for a pick. And obviously this pick doesn't happen. Because there's 0 kill game. You can see level 4 versus level 4. Dig got ahead because they split for this wave. This one wave is actually the reason Dig is half a level up right now. And the fact they're a tower up. Now the game does equalize a bit, actually. I think we're level 8 versus 8 in this game. At some point. So as you can see, like, this EXP level isn't too different right now. The difference is very minimal. And that's wave imbalance. So it's 1 tower and 1 wave advantage. Because BTG missed a wave. And you can't miss waves in HOTS. Especially if you're playing Do Not Fight. You can see Dig actually miss a wave as well, I think. Which puts the XP very close. For a bit of the game. But then what is the main thing that puts Dig ahead, even though they don't fight? So I'm actually just going to put this on 2x speed rather than skipping, because I think that'll be... So right now the map is very even. Oh, that is black screening. On 2x speed, I guess. So this first objective, if Dig aren't fighting, how do they get ahead from it? They just don't go to it. BTG has already committed 3 people down there. So Dig say, what if we just push another lane? And then meanwhile, while they're pushing mid, with Tracer, Tas, Karazim, Itzy is pushing top. And BTG's comp, they have to be together. Like, they have to be. Like, their comp doesn't work if they're split. So what do you do if you draft something that always has to be together, and the opponent just decides, what if we just force you to split? Because on Volskaya, nowadays, people will draft things that have to be together. But the objective isn't strong enough on Volskaya where you have to fight it. So you can do similar strats where you just don't fight. You can see Dig got half the fort. Digger getting pushed top as well with the ETC and the camp. And this is what puts Dig extremely ahead. They lose half the shots on the objective. But they're just getting ahead on structure chip from abusing vision. When BTG show 3 bot lane, they're pushing. And they're abusing the knowledge that BTG want to fight, and we don't. And that's just the story of this game, basically. And see, Dig are actually now 2 forts up. And it's not that they're not looking for kills. They do look for kills. You can see this slide. When someone is very out of position, they will try and punish that. They look for the kill. But they don't get the kill. Dig just to leave afterwards. Because they don't want prolonged fights. If it's a chance for a pick, they'll take the chance. But if it turns into a prolonged fight, they will run away. Because even though they had the chance for a pick, Tyrael's getting value bot lane. Why fight when you don't have to? Yeah, and that is the story of this game. That's the 0 kill versus 0 kill game. You can watch it a bit more to find out how they snowball this further. And this is with old forts and old towers. So the EXP difference wouldn't be as big nowadays. But even though Dig did have a 3-level lead at the end, they didn't use that level lead to fight. They just ended the game. And you don't need a 3-level lead for that. Because EX forts don't give XP anymore, I don't think. Not in the same way. Okay, so if BTG invade the camp, Dig have Tyrael for point. They have a global top lane. Granted, it's on cooldown. And they just let BTG have the camp. Because the only way they lose this game right now is by fighting. So even Wabi gets ganked and he uses stage dive to get away. And then they don't re-engage. They just leave. And I know I'm saying this a lot, but that's what they do all this game. I like using these games as examples, like old HGC games.
Mm-hmm.
Because nowadays, you don't get the same level. And at least from all the teams. Like, Dig was the best team in the world. In fairness. But nowadays, even Oxygen, and the next game I'm actually going to show will be from Oxygen. And I think that game's going to be very educational, because what that game is going to show is it's going to show what not to do.
Okay. I have a quick
compared to-
question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So for, again, this game that we saw here, there's quite a few players or characters that have been reworked. I don't know if this is too hard to pin down, but what would you say a comp now in this patch would work in a similar way that Dignitas was running this particular comp? Like, what heroes would you put in those slots that they have right there?
I would replace the Tracer with a Cassia. Cassia is known nowadays for her insane siege damage. So, like, she can just run at a fort. And I would pair someone like someone who can support her in the same level to push. So, like, your support this game could be a Malfurion to help push. And you could have, like, Cassia Malf can push together. Or it doesn't have to be Malf, it could be anyone. Cassia Karazim could be your 2-man. But the point is, you have the support. Karazim is, like, the only one that can be by himself as a support. But you want your damage dealer. And then you want your support hero. So you want a hero to support the damage dealer and always be with them. So in this case, it's Tass. But you could easily swap just Karazim into that spot. Mm-hmm. And have the Karazim be something else in the comp. Maybe another bruiser. And then ETC. ETC offlane would still work fine. I'd probably put a Diva there now. Realistically, actually, a lot of the comps run nowadays would work doing this sort of thing. But you need to think, what tools does our comp need to be able to just push? You could have a noob Greymane. That was run in 2017 all the time. 2018 it was run a lot as well. You could still run that. Like, there's nothing wrong with a noob Greymane just running down a building as a 2-man. But the key thing that Dig's comp has is every hero is self-sufficient other than the Tracer. And the Tracer has a task to support her. So you could easily run Cassia Karazim. And Cassia has a level 4 talent that gives her a lot of sustain by herself. So it could actually be a very similar comp to this. Doesn't have to be too different. And although HOTS is constantly changing, and the specific heroes that are good and that work in the style change, I wonder if I could share this with an example in the game, actually. But even though HOTS is constantly changing, it doesn't mean that the fundamental idea of this concept still works. It still is applied. They got 3 levels up right now, with 0 kills just from push. Nowadays they would not be 3 levels up because forts don't give that EXP. Clip is a good one to show. Where you have Task Tracer pushing bot lane. Just slightly before this. Mid Temple was alive, if I remember. Okay. So you see Task Tracer. if this was this could be a Cassia, and this could definitely be a Kerasim as well. They would have to leave slightly earlier, but you see them on vision anyway. What Kerasim would do, he would give the move speed to the Tracer. Cassia would dismount with her Q, and then they just run. They wouldn't auto attack them like this. They just run because Tracer attacks while moving. Cassia doesn't. And Tracer can still do this. Like, you can still draft Tracer for this if you want. She's just not as good as she was back then. You could also draft a Vala for this. Or anything that does siege damage. And then anything that enables that person to do siege damage. And then the other 3 heroes should just be self-sufficient. I know that was a very long-winded answer, but I hope that did answer the...
Absolutely, that did. And then there are a couple other questions, but I think they'll fit a little bit better towards the end, so we'll let you get onto the next example that you have.
Okay, yeah. So as I was saying, the next game is an example of what not to do. So, many of you have probably seen this game. It was a CCL game played by us. It was actually the game that lost us the series from going forward to be the 3rd place team. Lost to Crowd Control, who played really well on the set. And we lost the game because we took a team fight. You can see we have 3 globals. Very similar to how Fnatic used to play Cast. With 3 globals, and globals aren't good if they're together. They're good because they create the pressure in other lanes in the same way that Samurai did. Dig didn't fight because Samurai isn't good in fights, he's good at creating pressure, and then he can join the fight if it's 5v4. And it's very similar for these. I think it'll be easier if I just show this clip as we go. You can see right now, objective is spawning bot lane, 2 Curse versus 2 Curse. Red is sitting there in deep stealth, Brightwing stealth, so he's not seen.
Oh, it's lagging.
It's fine to look for kills,
just
look for
a
picks.
bit. Do you mind turning down the quality?
I have a pause right now if that's the lag.
No, it was lagging
Sure.
pretty harsh. If you want to turn on the quality from 1080 to 720, that should help.
I'll turn down to 480. We don't need high quality. Okay.
Okay, and I'll
Is it going fine now?
I'll let you know if it's back. Nope, it's frozen right now. So
Is it? Do you want me to close and reopen the stream? Maybe.
I would say refresh your the YouTube stream.
Okay.
Hopefully, it can be in the same spot. And I'll make sure on my end that everything's going.
I'm going to close and reopen the Discord stream then, and we'll see.
Okay. Here, I'm gonna go ahead.
To make sure I open the right tab.
Okay, y'all are gonna see us for a moment, but enjoy it. Okay.
What messed it up? Was it full screening it, or
I'm not sure. It just started lagging. I think the quality of the stream
maybe
now
it's
should be fine.
because there's chat here or something?
Yeah, let's go ahead and try that.
Okay. So, yeah, Red is sitting at vision. We are 2 versus 2 curse-wise. And we saw in the dig game, it's fine to look for picks, but everyone for crowd controls together, so we're not going to get a pick. So being here with everyone is wrong. So we're looking for a pick. We miss the initial pick on the Stukov, and then we keep looking. Important thing that Dig did is they backed away after they didn't get the initial kill. We keep looking, we die, and then that death actually snowballs into a loss. So what could we have done differently? And we even have to use Gus. So what could we have done differently in this position? 2 Curse versus 2 Curse. To not lose the game, and to actually win the game without fighting. So, big advantage of globals. They can always be at the fight when you need them to be. Crowd control score is at 65%. So what if, rather than fighting, we just had Falstad pushing top lane? We saw how quickly a Samurai could burn the core. A Falstad is actually still quick at burning the core. If Falstad is top lane, this wave, which has 2 catapults, would already be at the core. And crowd control would have to back. Right now, at the time that Nasmus dies, crowd control has to back. Volstad is ending the game if this happened. And if crowd control don't back with 1 or 2 people, then the game would have already ended to the 2 catapults and Volstad. So what would have happened is crowd control would have backed now, or maybe a bit sooner actually, because Volstad is still showing top. Volstad is pushing top, he's showing top. So crowd control would have backed with D.Va. So D.Va's up here now. And then what we could do is Volstad could either keep pressuring to end, back off, go get Siege Giants, or he could fly to the fight and force a 5v4. But we don't do that. Instead, we look for a fight for well, basically no reason. And even if D.Va's top, Brightwing can Z to the Volstad to end the game with him. And while Joe and Chromie just run at the enemy team, as we saw in the Dignitas game, actually, how Samurai was just ending and Dignitas ran at the enemy team to stop them backing. They could easily do this here. Or we could easily do this here. But we don't, we get picked off, and this pick causes us to use Gust as well. Does end up losing us the game. There's even 3 catapults now, and there's a siege camp. And here's the thing, even if crowd control don't back, they lose the game. If crowd control do back, they lose the game. No matter what they do, they would lose the game if Volstad is pushing top. Because if they back, let's say they back with D.Va, we have 2 options. We can Z, use Brightwing Z, and Dahaka Z, so go core with 3 people. Or Volstad can fly to the fight and fight 5v4, because crowd control don't have a global. And whatever crowd control do, if they take tribute, it doesn't matter, they've lost the game. Because Volstad's on the core. Volstad with the Brightwing Z is on the core. If they try to take boss, doesn't matter, they've lost the game. But what if they send D.Va back and then try and go boss? Well then, Volstad can fly behind the boss, and he didn't have to ban Gust, he has Gust right now, and then can Gust them off the point. Because what we would do on boss is we wouldn't fight them. We would fight for the boss point. So we're not fighting the heroes, we're just playing for the point. And we don't get to do that because Gust is on cooldown right now. If we had Gust, and Volstad was right where this windmill was, everyone from crowd control was forced off the point. Even the bomb is forced back. And we would win the point fight. But that, we don't give ourselves that opportunity because we're not top lane pressuring with our global. And because we're looking for a fight back here when we don't have to. We are ahead, we are in the driving seat of this game, and the only way you lose this game is by fighting. And then we fought. And there have been CCL games where teams didn't actually, where teams were ahead and didn't fight. Because you don't have to fight always. You can win the game without fighting. And we showed that we couldn't always execute that with by losing this game. And we have fixed that issue going forward. But I think it's very educational. It's very difficult to do. And top 4 teams, CCL, can't do it consistently. And it's not something that's easy, but it's something that should still be attempted to be applied wherever you can.
Yeah, it's definitely having that mindset of being able to think almost 4 steps ahead, what you were describing there. Which, like, again, a lot of the times the current meta now is to just see what's in front of you or be looking 2 steps ahead, essentially.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it is down to doing VOD review. Because if you do VOD review, then you can... You don't have to think 4 steps ahead in the game. You can think, oh, we've gone over this in VOD review. This is what we want to do. We've played this before, we know. But we didn't have much experience with triple globals as a team. So therefore we didn't go over it previously in VOD review, which meant it was harder for us to think those steps in the game. right? It's why VOD review and prep is very important. So if there are any questions, that would be a good time. But there is another game to go over, from a CCL, where
Yes.
what I'm talking about is also executed well.
Yeah, so far we have questions that are kind of asking about your overall presentation, so we can jump right into the next presentation, unless anyone pops any questions about this game specifically. But I'll interrupt you if they do. So
Okay,
you
so-
feel free to continue.
So this is the lowest kill game we had in CCL. It was, I believe it was 3 kills to 6. Don't know if I can see here. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 6. 6 kills versus 2. Which is, it's not that many. It's not that many for a CCL game. I think the next was 0 kills to 7. But for Simplicity versus Sidestep Kings, 2 really good teams. I think Sidestep Kings was the 5th team at the end, and Simplicity was the 1st. Simplicity win this game as they lose a team fight. And I've talked about the concept so much that I think it's just better to show what I mean. So, they don't use a global, they just use Zeratul, which is wonderful. So you Simplicity 4 man on the point, because they're pressuring for Sidestep Kings to say, you have to send one back, or you fight us and then we don't care if you fight, you win the game. So you see they get a nice pick on the Chromie, very similar to the Dignitas game, actually, where Garrosh got a pick on Poik at the start. So you get a pick on the Chromie, but that doesn't matter. Look at the core. Zeratul was ending. You can see Kato was trying to back. Masquerade blinded him. Oh no, he didn't get the blind because Stukov swiped. But Masquerade tried to interrupt, and all of Simplicity is running at Sidestep Kings to stop them backing. See, Zeratul was just soloing the core. Very similar to what happened in the Dignitas game. And this is the concept of backdooring. You just run at the core with one person, push in the lane, and they have to back. They have to back. It's as simple as that. With one person wasn't enough because you have the Brightwing. So if they backed with 2, maybe 3 people, they could have defended this. But then they lose the point. Then they lose their turret camp. Then they lose the support camp. If you can force them to back for free without using anything, because if they back with 3 people, Zeratul can get out. He can just double blink out. He's fine. And if they don't back, you win the game. So you're happy with that. And if you time it very well, where Zeratul only shows as he gets on the core, then Sidestep Kings have to take ages before they can start backing. And then when they start backing, you can see on the minimap, everyone is just running as Sidestep Kings to stop them backing. Because if the heroes get back, they might be able to stop the Zeratul. But you should die for this. You can see Sidestep Kings resort to walking back to their core because how much Simplicity is stopping them. You actually see Legacy on the end screen as well. I think Legacy was the previous talker.
Mm-hmm.
Some really good points. See, this was the first game they played against Sidestep Kings, and that was beautiful. The fact that they executed that number 1 team, and then you can see number 4 team. I think we got number 4 at the end. So number 4 team, we could be doing the exact same thing. We have Volstad Brightwing. We could be doing the exact same thing in this game, but we are fighting instead. I think that shows the big difference between the top teams to the middle range teams. Is that the top teams have the discipline to not take those fights when they can win without fighting. I think that shows as well how much CCL itself is evolving to get much more of the strategy that HGC had. I'm very happy with the direction it's going. It's actually all of the main slides I have prepared. So if there are any questions, I think now would be a really good time.
Yep, so we're going to go ahead and open the questions up. So please feel free to post your questions in the Twitch chat. I will go ahead and pick them up as CascOn answers other questions. So for the first one, this is going to be from Arrow23. Are there maps in the current HOTS where you cannot split to avoid fighting versus a double support?
Yes. Well, yes and no. A lot of people think BOE is a really good double support map. Ishbu apparently said Heroes Half used to beat double support by drafting Genji and Tracer, and they would draft very hypermobile heroes to just avoid them all game. BOE, generally though, people will fight you. And always in Storm League. In Storm League, people are going to fight you. So you can always draft double support in Storm League and be fine with that. What other maps? Volskaya used to, but now the Volskaya objective isn't strong enough. So the way to think of it, if an objective is strong enough that it can end the game by itself, basically, then you have to fight over it. If the objective will end before you can push another lane with actual heroes. Because right now, I don't know if there's a map like that in the game. I would need a map list. What maps?
So the maps that are available right
Towers
now
of Doom?
are Towers. Yep, Towers of Doom.
Towers of Doom would be a map, I would say. You always have to fight on Towers of Doom because you can't exactly win by backdooring.
Mm-hmm.
You can try. I think there was a game where Kata was playing Asmodan, actually, and they just tried to stall all the altars and win by backdooring everything. It didn't work, but they tried it. But I think Towers of Doom is probably the map. I don't think any other maps fit that description, though.
Okay. The next question is from Ewok Thor. What about stun delete comps? Like, how can you really split for not fighting? Like, for example, they did give it an example of Volskaya. However, you've explained why it wouldn't work on Volskaya because the objective isn't strong enough. So let's say on a map, let's say Tomb of the Spider Queen, a small map where a stun comp is fairly popular to try to get people locked down.
So you said the question is, how do you avoid that? Or
How do you... I'm sorry, let me go ahead. How can you avoid stun delete comps? How can you split and not fight against a stun delete comp?
so a stun delete comp wants to move together, right? They want to move as 3 or 4. And if you have... You can see... Actually, I can use these drafts as an example. If you have enough vision, enough wave clear or vision, if you know where the stun delete comp is, where the tank is, you don't have to worry because they can't kill you if you know where they are and you're playing around their threat engage range, right? So if you're pushing, let's say, bot as 2 as Cassia carries him on Tomb of the Spider Queen, you should have vision if they try to rotate, or you don't push when you don't have vision. Every single one of these pushes that Dick did in this game, in the Skull Club game, was actually... They only pushed when they knew where BTG was. This game is probably better because this is more of a stun delete comp. But once again, vision is how you decide... Vision and waves are how you decide all your rotations. If you know where the opponent is, then you can always just be aggressive where they're not. You play where you're strong and play where they're weak. They want to fight, you want to split push. So you split push in the lanes they're not in. So if they are 3-man looking for your bot lane, then you can push top. It really just comes down to vision. And if you have good vision controlled tools like a Hanzo Sonic Arrow, or Junkrat with his W or E, or Johanna can push out the waves for vision, whereas most tanks can anchor bushes safely, like Tyrael can Q a bush. I hope that... It's very abstract and it's very hard to explain, but I do hope that answers the question.
Okay, yes, I think that answered it very well. And this is going to be our final question. We are closing in a little bit short on time here. So this is from Monkus Beaver. Samuro is an exceptionally high elo hero. What lower skill ceiling heroes can be used to reach a similar goal? And they are referring to that, I believe, Infernal Shrines game.
Yeah, it's looking to swip or end backdooring.
Mm-hmm.
Volstad, Zagara, and any global that does a lot of push. Right, even Asmodan, or Gazlo. It doesn't matter if people think every hero in the game right now is viable. In my personal opinion, it's just where you draft them. So Samurai was drafted on the offlane slot. They could have drafted a Diva on the offlane slot instead, and had Diva come to Shrines, and the Junkrat could be a Falstad, or it could be a Zagara, or an Azmodan, and they're just looking to push the other building where they're not. But the important thing is that you're safe while you push, and you do strong push. Azmodan isn't safe when he pushes necessarily, but he does do good enough push that if you die and they respond to you, you're usually okay with it. But I think basically any hero that's self-sufficient and a global will be fine.
Perfect. And with that, we're going to go ahead and switch back to the main scene with our cameras here. Just bear with me one moment. Stop screen sharing. Perfect. Oh, I'm not perfectly in the box, but that's okay. So we want to thank you so much for joining on to today's CCS Masterclass. So if you want to go through some shoutouts and where people can find you and ask you some questions, feel free to go right ahead.
Shout out to you and all of CCS for putting this together. I think it's great that you're just making everything easy to find for HOTS and improving, and anyone looking into LAN, shout out to actually. Because a lot of people don't actively look to improve, they just flame their teammates and then go next game. You can check my Twitter at CascOn, but it's a 0 instead of an O. And then my Twitch is CascOn56. Thank you for having me.
No, it was our pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'll give myself a couple of shout outs. You can find me at twitch.tv/salvajegaming. I do stream on my own personal channel. And then I host for CCS Masterclass whenever we have one scheduled. It's been such a pleasure to host, and I thank CCS so much for hosting these and providing all of this very valuable information from high elo players to the rest of the community. It's fantastic. So with that, we're going to go ahead and close out the show. Thank you once again, CascOn, for joining us tonight. And we will see you guys in the next masterclass, and it will be scheduled and announced in the CCS Discord. Be sure to follow the CCS Twitch, and be sure to follow the CCS on Twitter. Thank you so much, guys, and we'll see you next time. Bye!